Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to today's session in our group. Today we're going to focus on energetic techniques to manage anxiety, panic, overwhelm, overstimulation, and do a little bit more talking around that. And what I wanted to make really clear today is that my goal is not that you take any of these techniques and think, oh, this is going to cure me, or this is the one thing that I need. There's never just one thing, right? And while we can get to the root cause, a lot of times with mood disorders or anxiety, there's always going to be things that stress us out. So as we go through this month, I really want you to build your toolbox. That's why I called my practice little black bag medicine, like my doctor's little black bag. I have lots of tools in there that I can use because life is never going to be perfect. And to give you an example, this morning I woke up and I was going through the mail from yesterday and opened it up and caught a bill for my medication that I had just got my infusion for. And the medication itself was $22,000, and my insurance isn't really covering it. So when I saw that number of what I owed, talk about every emotion: anxiety, fear, panic, overwhelm. And then once I got over the initial shock of like, oh my God, what am I going to do? It turned into what I call the super sads, and just the self-loathing and like, am I worth all this money to keep alive? And what are we going to do? And just, that just a feeling is like, I'm going to throw up. So like, even though I have all these tools, which I use, I'm going to share my process of how I'm managing them. Things are still going to come up. We're still going to open the mail and get great news sometimes not so great news, sometimes really big deals that we didn't expect. And there's ways to manage that, right? Mentally and financially and things like that. But when you're in that moment and you're like, oh my God, right? So we have moments where we know we have anxiety, and we can pinpoint like, it's this letter right here with this big old bill. Or sometimes you're just sitting at your kid's soccer game and just feeling like overwhelming panic or shame, or some emotion comes up and you're like, this came out of nowhere. Why am I feeling like this? There's a reason, whether it's physical, physiological, blood sugar, neurotransmitters, maybe you're overheated, right? There, we can name a lot of different things. But it can also just be your way of your body's responding to something, some kind of trigger. And this is why this is a month-long conversation, and why there's lots of parts. So the first thing, when you're in the moment, and I think this is the hardest part of doing this type of work energetically and emotionally on our mindset, our health, and our mental wellness, is feeling the feelings, right? And instead of going, oh my God, I'm so anxious and I'm so upset and I'm just gonna stuff it all down and ignore it, right? And try to move on with life, that we just allow those feelings in and sense where it is in your body. Like I said, I felt like I was gonna throw up. My heart was racing, and just kind of sit with it for a minute and don't push it away. Don't dissociate. Don't try to ignore it. Don't blame, shame, and don't play games with yourself, right? Just, okay, what am I feeling right now, right? Really panicky. Other things that trigger me personally, especially after chiropractic college, which meant sitting in a dark room watching PowerPoint presentations anywhere from 6 to 10 hours a day. I can't go to in-person seminars anymore because I start panicking. I feel trapped. So anytime I feel trapped, I start to panic, and I have horrible anxiety. So one is to sit with that anxiety, okay? And be really present in your body, in your mind, and how you're feeling. Name it if you can. Like, I am feeling panicky. I am feeling anxiety. I'm feeling this. And okay, and that in itself sometimes helps to shift this. Now I'm going to give you a lot of tools here to use, and this is just a drop in the bucket of all the tools that we have. But number one rule after all of this of being present in your body is that you're looking for those 10% of what makes you feel better. We're not looking for cures. We're not looking for like, oh, I did this one thing and now I'm 100% better, right? We're looking for a little bit of relief. Like, okay, now I can function a little bit more through my day. And as those 10% add up, you're going to find what helps you feel better faster. Also, when you're sitting in line at the car pickup line, sometimes people in front of you move. So I'm going to pull up so we don't have any big gaps and leave lots of room for people next to me to park. And we're good to go. Okay, back to where we were. This is why I like to do my lives in the car, because it's like so nice and quiet most of the time, but it is a little distracting. There's kids playing, there's cars moving, but everybody's safe or parked. It's okay. All right. So one of my favorite anxiety techniques, and sometimes this works for depression as well, but mainly for anxiety and panic, just kind of that overstimulation, overwhelm, is to find that feeling in my body. And a lot of times it feels like a tornado of energy spinning. And so the first step is to recognize, all right, where is it spinning? Throat, head, chest, whole body. Where is it? Stomach, something like that. And say it's twisting clockwise. Yep, I don't know, doesn't matter. And so you sit back and take a few deep breaths and try and get it to spin the other way. Recognize it, see, okay, this tornado is spinning inside me. It's all this anxiety. Okay, I feel it. I'm going to focus on it. I'm going to tap into that spinning, and I'm just going to imagine it to start to slow down and just start spinning the other way. And we're literally just twisting the energy in a different direction within your body. If it helps you to put your hand, like I keep putting my hand on my chest, as you see, because that's where a lot, maybe your stomach, maybe your gut, maybe over your forehead, wherever that is, that might even help you get even more in touch somatically with how you're feeling and where that energy is coming from. So there's that vortex, and move it in the opposite direction. I have a parts meditation that can be very helpful. I'll post a link to that as well. This is my go-to almost on a daily basis for mood and pain as well. So with my ulcerative colitis, I have a ton of gut pain, and it's always coming up. And so when I've learned from my therapy work with internal family systems and parts therapy is a lot of times there's hidden parts in there, and they're talking. And that's where some of this pain is coming from. So when we go into that part and say you go into your gut and you're like, okay, name the pain, name the feeling, name the mood. So if you go into your gut, you're like, oh my, okay, I'm so nauseous, my stomach, like I'm burping, I have acid reflux. Like, go into your stomach consciously, take a few deep breaths and go, okay, what does this look like? What does this anxiety look like? Is it a color? Is it a shape? Is it a temperature? Is it hot, cold? Is it solid? Is it, what do you see? Somebody? Is there a personification? Sometimes I've seen blobs talking to me and then they transform as well. So don't feel like you have to become attached to one thing. So I'll drop that meditation. It's like 8 minutes. And it's something that I go to often when I'm in pain or when I'm really struggling with an emotion that I'm just like, ugh, where is this coming from? And just the acknowledgement of the feeling of the pain is one of the most powerful things that you can do. I posted about neurogenic pain, neuroplastic pain, about the pain psychology book. I'll drop my podcast I did on that as well. He talks about this as well, where we have pain or we have emotions that our brain has a pathway, and it's just like, oh, we're on this track, let's run the track, run the movie, run the scene. Especially with traumatic events in our lives, our brain's like, oh, we should think about this really bad thing that happened to us, and it creates this anxiety in our bodies in the present moment, thinks it's happening again. And so getting into those feelings can help rewire our brain and our body and our nervous system to stop replaying these things as well. Okay. Hold the part with anxiety. So that just keeps going back to, like I said, is it your chest? Is it your throat? Is it your stomach? Kind of treat that part like a little baby and just hold it and go, hey, I'm here. I see you. I feel you. I know you're super anxious. I know you're super upset. Wow, this is incredibly devastating. And just talk like you would to your best friend, right? Internally, I feel like most people, right, might be the messages. Your brain might be telling you, nobody loves you. This is the end. You're never gonna make it. You're never gonna survive. All the bad messages, right? Like, oh, of course this happened. You totally deserved it. And when you think about it, think about either your children. Would you ever hopefully you wouldn't say those things to your children, but you wouldn't say that. I would never look at my kids and be like, well, no, of course your boyfriend broke up with you. Who could love you? No, you would never ever say that. So think of either somebody that you love that's really close to you, or a child, or a niece or nephew or a grandchild, somebody that you just absolutely love with all of your heart, and just talk like that to those parts that are hurting. The most important thing I have found for managing anxiety energetically as well as physically is the breath. I'm getting into breath training, breath work. There's so many things to do. It's an ancient modality that's just coming around because I'm not going to get into cultural philosophy here. This isn't the time, but there's quite a few ways to breathe. One, breath work. Of course, you can look that up in general. Research shows that taking a deep breath in, and then even more, as like deep as you can go, and then letting it all out, actually expands your lungs even more and helps reduce cortisol almost immediately. So if you're super stressed, you could breathe in a little bit more, and then let it out. Oh, goodness. That does help, and scientifically it's proven to work. So other ways that I breathe is stress patterning breathing is always helpful. So breathing in through your nose, and then a really, really long exhale through your mouth. Or you keep your lips really tight, almost like whistling, but you're not. And it's funny because I don't know why my family always forgets. They're like, what you doing, Mom? I'm like, oh, this is my stress breathing. It's like, okay, Mom's always making weird noises and doing weird breathing things, but just bringing you back into that energetic awareness of your breath to, one, take your mind off of what's going on, but also to help reduce cortisol, to repattern how your brain's feeling anxiety. Wim Hof, Wimhoff, he's the master of breathwork training. He has an app where you do a lot of holding and pattern breathing as well, which is excellent. Research shows that 5.5 seconds breath in and out is the optimal breathing pattern for humans, which you go, well, that sounds really complicated to time. It is, but if you can go to YouTube and type in 5.5 second breathing pattern, there's all kinds of videos, and they'll just play nice music and ding when you breathe in and ding when you breathe out. And that way you don't have to look at a clock or time it at all. There's all kinds of free apps that do that, paid apps as well. So things that help you to improve your breathing, improve your cardiovascular health, will help, one, oxygenate your brain, because our brain needs oxygen. It's the least thought of thing when it comes to oxygen and how much our brain needs it. And also helps calm, not only emotionally, but physically as well. 4 squared breathing, where you take a deep breath in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4, and just repeat that pattern until you feel better. Some people like 3, 5, 7, but I don't care. You experiment and see what works best for you. And also, as you gain strength in breathing, so like if you start with Wim Hof and you're like, I can only hold my breath for 20 seconds before I feel like I'm dying, and then you work your way up, different techniques might work better for you as you gain strength in your lungs and presence with your body, not against your body or outside of your body when you're dealing with these things. Okay. Reiki, of course, energetic healing, hand healing medicine, very, very important. You could do to yourself on your different chakras. However, I do find that when you're in that moment of horrible anxiety, that it is really hard to do for yourself. So find somebody who does Reiki. Maybe you and your spouse, or you and someone, a friend that you're with often, get trained together, and that way you're like, hey babe, can you Reiki me? It's a great thing to do. The microcosmic orbit is a traditional Chinese medicine, meditation, and movement of energy, and that I have go into deep detail in my Balancing the Nervous System program. I'll post a link to that below here as well when we get home. And it's feeling the energy. When you take a breath in, the energy comes down the front of our body, and then it goes, as we breathe out, it comes up our spine and around the front. The key is that you have to hold your tongue to the roof of your mouth and do a pelvic floor contraction to close off that orbit. And cycling that energy and focusing on cycling that energy through your body with breath also helps keep you grounded in the present moment, helps you alleviate stress and anxiety as well. Now, I did write down meditation. However, in my trauma training, I'm learning that the amygdala in our brain, which is part of our fight or flight response, which is part of our memories, does get activated during meditation. And if you're someone who's had a traumatic experience in their life, meditation might not work for you. And you know what? That's okay. Meditation doesn't have to be the only. That's why I have this huge long list. That's why I have so many videos. So if you're like, okay, I'm going to sit here for 10 minutes and just try and meditate, and your body starts twitching and moving and you're like feeling sick, stop. Meditation's not the thing for you right now, and that's okay. As you're retraining your nervous system, as you get trauma therapy, EMDR, whatever that means for you, you get the support that you need as you process this. Find different ways. Of course, meditation is wonderful. However, sitting still and being in your body might be too difficult for your brain and your nervous system. You might try walking meditation. You might try eyes open meditation. That's my favorite. Actually, my favorite, what works best for me, is sitting in front of a mirror and just staring into my eyes and meditating. That's when I find that my brain actually quiets the most. I get the most benefit from it. Who knew? I just was doing random crap one day and figured that one out. Movement is the next thing, because movement helps regulate the nervous system when we are feeling anxious, overwhelmed, depressed. So one, movement, walking. So today I turned on my continuing education course and cleaned the house. I was just like scrubbing and moving and lifting and like we have kids do, like heavy lifting, like carrying laundry baskets and pushing tables and sweeping and doing those things to help me. So of course that gets the energy out, right? You can dance, you could literally shake it off, you can do whatever you want. It doesn't have to be cleaning. Or you could go for a run, you could lift weights, you could do something. The other thing is that exercise in itself is incredibly important as far as the frontal lobe of the brain to help regulate dopamine, our feel-good hormones, our endorphins, as well as help with sleep and our immune system. So a brisk walk probably won't be good enough. You need to get your heart rate up a little bit higher. You need to be lifting weights. If you're in too much pain to be able to do these things, understand totally. I'm on board with you. Get in the water, get a pool membership and do some classes there. Find a personal trainer who understands how to work with people with the issues that you have, chronic fatigue, autoimmune, joint pain, all right, whatever that is. But you're going to have to do heavier movement. Just a little walk around is not going to be as much for your brain as it needs to be. Well, it's great for movement, great for the nervous system, not as great for the frontal lobe. So if you're especially struggling with long-term depression, weights and even heavier exercises have been proven to be 150% more effective than medication and therapy. So now medication can be very helpful, I think therapy with the right person is amazing. So I'm not going to knock those two things, but exercise still needs to be a huge part of what we're doing. Okay, that is a very small portion of my energetic list. The next time we'll do some neurovascular points. We'll talk about some acupuncture points that you can hold. We're going to talk about adding essential oils into those acupuncture points and neurovascular points so you can get even more benefit from them. All of those good things. I'll put my meditation down below for you, and the balancing the nervous system so you can see the microcosmic orbit meditation and movement as well. And I also have my Soul Elements Collective group. So if you are feeling like you want to incorporate more energy medicine into your life and your practice of your daily life and your health and your wellness, and connect with a great group of people who are also doing the work and really focusing in on bringing their health into a whole picture, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, that's what our group is all about. So please join us. It's a really cheap membership. I love it. You get free consults with me, all kinds of gifts, things like that. So if you have any questions, shoot me a message, comment, let me know what you think. Maybe you have a favorite technique that you like to add in as well. I would love to hear about it. Share with the group so that way we can all try it and learn from each other. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you next time.